Hey guys, Cooling here for a movie review. Going to be doing my first one, and I chose Resident Evil from 2002, rated R, directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, and stars Mila Jovovich and Michelle Rodriguez. I'm a huge fan of this movie. I loved it. I seen it when it was released. I did not in theaters, but I rented it, and it creeped the hell out of me. I was only like 11 or 12 in 2002. I loved the movie ever since. I didn't know much about the games at the time, so that wasn't an issue. Although I did hear of them. I'll be going off of the Resident Evil Blu-ray collection, 6-movie collection set for this review. At the beginning of the movie, someone steals the T-virus and the antivirus and shoots the virus on the ground, and it goes into the ventilation system and infects all the employees down in the hive. Now, the hive is a facility underground that the Umbrella Corporation owns, and they do research there, experiments on people, with viruses, on bunnies, on everything, right? This military crew that Umbrella owns goes into the hive, the underground facility from the mansion, and investigates, see what happened. The reason why the lockdown happened, all of the personnel in the movie has become flesh-eating creatures, or zombies, if you will. It also follows the main character, Alice, who wakes up with her tic-tac showing in the shower with amnesia due to the nerve gas, another part of the security system in the building. It gives you memory loss, gives you amnesia. Anyway, so she wakes up, she has no clue what's going on, neither does the viewer, and going around the mansion, like in the game, and finding guns in the drawers and being confused, doesn't have a clue what's going on. And I love the atmosphere of that part of the movie. That's what really got going for it. And not long after, the military just busts in, and also a cop, a guy who says he's a cop anyway, and he's like the red herring. You're not sure if you should trust him or not because no one knows anything about him. And they all head into the facility together. Now, little do they know that the Red Queen, the artificial intelligence that controls all the security systems and everything in the whole hive, controls everything, is aware that they're all coming in the building and does not want them to come out alive in case they spread the virus. It's a protocol. And she is one creepy little girl. Originally, Romero was the one who was supposed to direct this movie. He was attached to the project, and he had someone play Resident Evil 1, I believe, on PlayStation or computer or whatever, and he just watched them play and wrote down notes all the time, the gameplay. And I don't know if it was a studio or whoever just didn't like it, and they dropped the project altogether and gave it to Paul Anderson. And he really took it in a completely different direction, with there being really no characters from the game and a totally different story, just including the zombies and the hive and Raccoon City, Umbrella Corporation, little things like that. The T-virus. We also get the subplot that involves Matt. That's the guy who pretends to be a cop at the first, but reveals later in the movie that he's really out there to exploit the Umbrella Corporation because of all their evil businesses and involved with the military and with the bio weapons and experiments. He actually sent his sister in to try to steal the virus, and Alice was going to help her, but Alice doesn't remember any of this till later in the film because of her memory loss. It's also like an underlining message that about the big corporations, the little guys trying to take out the evil corporation, which is Umbrella. So I'll get into my favorite aspects of this movie. My favorite thing about this movie is the amnesia part of the story. It works so well. You're confused. The characters are confused that have the memory loss, including Alice and Spence. This is spoiler alert, but Spence is the bad guy, and he doesn't even realize he's the bad guy. They're both soldiers, like guards for the mansion, one of the entrances to the hive. And it works really well later, too, when Spence starts realizing through flashbacks, same as Alice, what's actually going on and how he's the one who started everything with the virus at the start. Also, there's breadcrumbs left all throughout the movie, like I said with the flashbacks, but the guns in the drawers and the military calling Alice a soldier and her getting these flashbacks of being in the what looks like a cemetery, I think, and saying that she was going to try to get information to expose the Umbrella Corporation. She also finds pictures of her and Spencer like married or whatever, and photos all over the mansion when it started. So she knows Spence, but they don't know what their relationship was or what their connection was, where they were actually partners at work. I pretty much enjoy all the characters in this movie. It's got that going for it too. There's a few throwaways like the medic and a few other of the soldiers, but I like Alice. I like Caitlin and the leader one, and but my favorite is Michelle Rodriguez's character Rain. She just oozes badass, and she seems like an 80s action hero like Stallone or Schwarzenegger, but the female version. She's tough as nails, like it's almost ridiculous the amount that she can go through. Like she gets bit so many times and is the first one to get bit and one of the last to turn. Just makes it such a fun ride with her. Her one-liners are pretty cheesy as hell, but I just take it as like an 80s action movie or old horror movie where she actually was a huge fan of the video games and asked her agent if they ever found out that Resident Evil movie was going to come out before this, that to let her know and she wanted to be on it. And that's what happened. They heard that there's a movie coming out and she got signed up right away. Finally, one of my last positives, I gotta talk about the score. The score was created by Marilyn Manson, who teamed up with Marco Beltrami. It's heavier on atmosphere than melody, and it keeps the movie flowing at a steady, upbeat pace. It's very industrial sound, with blasts of synthesized metal. The soundtrack is also badass. It includes all bands from the time, including Marilyn Manson, Slipknot, Static X, Mudvayne, Cold Chamber, and many more from the early 2000s. Now, the mixed aspects of the film, for some, could be the cheese factor of this movie. Like I said, either Rain's one-liners or Alice's wall kicks might be too much or over the top for some people, but for me, it was okay. It doesn't ruin the movie. Also, the quality of the zombies really vary in this movie. Some of them look really good, the makeup effects and everything is like spot on, and others, it doesn't even look like, it looks like random people just running out at them. They're really inconsistent. Just like the zombie dogs. I never noticed it the first few times I watched it, but over the years you can tell that it's just fake meat like hanging off them in like barbecue sauce or something. Anyway, they're just like regular dogs running at them. Now, the negatives for this movie would obviously be with the video game fans hating this movie for being so much different from the game. It really throws away the mansion setting and the survival atmosphere of the movie. Also, it pretty much never doesn't use any characters from the game either, introducing all new characters. But luckily for me, I haven't played the games till after I seen the first movie, and that doesn't really bother me, but it would bother a lot of people. But unfortunately, what does bother me is the CGI. It is very, very early 2000s. It's terrible. It looks like it's from a PS1 game. Unless you were James Cameron making Terminator 2, anything before like the 2000s, even before 2005, pretty much sucks with CGI. And the most noticeable of this is obviously the liquor creature. It is so bad. It's too bad because when you get close-ups of it, when it's in the box at first or even later when it's mutating after feeding, it is practical effects when they go close and just show like zoom in parts and the cracking of the bones and that. But every time it shows the whole thing, it's this crappy CGI. So if you're not too caught up on the video games and don't mind a little bit of a cheese factor in your horror movies, I definitely recommend the first Resident Evil from 2002. On a realistic scale, I'd probably rate it at like a 7.5, but giving my bias and my nostalgia and everything I have for this movie and how much I love it, it's getting a 9 out of 10. Next time I'll be looking at its sequel, Resident Evil Apocalypse. Be sure to be looking out for that one. And until next time, thanks for watching.